I never imagined that selling my property for John would be the moment my life started slipping through my fingers. I thought I was helping my husband, the man I loved more than anything. But love doesn't always protect you from betrayal. It all started on a chilly Monday morning. I was signing the papers for the property, the little house my parents had left me. John hovered beside me, his arm around my shoulder, whispering, "You're amazing, Sarah. This contract will change our lives." His eyes sparkled with excitement, and I believed every word. I had saved that property for years, refusing to sell even when bills piled up. I thought John's business was finally going to take off, but I didn't know that the very man I trusted would drink my sacrifice away in a single week. The contract was big, a life-changing deal with a company in Chicago. John said it would bring in enough money to pay off debts, start a family, and finally let us breathe. I smiled as I handed over the keys, trying not to feel the hollow ache in my chest. "Promise me you'll be careful," I said. "I promise," he said, grinning. "I'll make you proud, babe." That night I went home alone, clutching my little black purse and a sense of unease. Something felt off, but I pushed it aside. I had given up my property for love. I couldn't doubt him now. The next morning, John was gone before sunrise. I thought he was meeting the client, but as the hours passed, my phone rang, and there was no answer. By evening, the truth came crashing in like a storm I didn't see coming. I caught him at Danny's bar, stumbling out with a crowd of loud men, money slipping from his hand like sand. My stomach turned as I saw him pour a thick whiskey into his glass, laughing, singing, completely careless. "John," I shouted, rushing forward. "Where's the money? Where's the contract?" He blinked at me, confused, then smirked. "Relax, Sarah, it's just a little fun. You worry too much." I felt my knees buckle. "A little fun, John, the contract, the money, our future." My voice broke. He waved a dismissive hand. "It's fine. Everything's fine. Chill." I wanted to scream, to shake him, to make him understand that he had destroyed everything we worked for. But he just laughed, turned back to his friends, and took another gulp. That night I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor of our empty apartment, staring at the ceiling. How could someone I trusted so deeply throw away our lives for alcohol? How could love blind me so completely? By the next morning, the bar had emptied, and John returned home smelling of whiskey and regret, or maybe pride. I couldn't tell. I think we might have lost some of it," he mumbled, avoiding my eyes. "Some of it," I repeated, my voice icy. "John, you drank it all." He shrugged. "We can try again. Maybe next time it'll work out better." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that echoed through the empty apartment. "Next time? There won't be a next time, John. I sold my property, everything I had saved, and you wasted it. You don't get a next time." He looked at me, his smile faltering. "Sarah, come on, don't be like that." But I had to be. I couldn't let him walk away from this. And in that moment, a fire ignited inside me, a fire that would not be put out until he understood that actions have consequences. The first days after the disaster were silent. I didn't speak much. I watched him closely, noting every careless move, every drink poured, every laugh that wasn't mine to share. I planned silently, quietly, patiently. Then came the first idea, small, subtle, and cruel enough to teach him that I wasn't weak. I started leaving little reminders of what he had done. I'd hide his keys. I'd move his favorite bottle of whiskey to the freezer. I'd smile innocently while he searched, cursing under his breath, unaware that I was enjoying his growing panic. "You're crazy, Sarah," he said one morning as he tore apart the living room looking for his watch. "Crazy," I said, tilting my head. "Maybe, but smart enough to know better than to waste what belongs to both of us." His face paled. For the first time I saw fear, not the drunken bravado he wore like armor, but real fear. That night I stayed up, thinking, how far could I push him before he begged? How could I make him understand that the money, the property, the contract, everything, was gone because of his greed? And that's when I started planning something bigger, something unpredictable, something he could never imagine. I didn't know exactly what it would be yet, but one thing was certain. John was about to realize that the woman he thought he could fool was a storm he could not survive. I leaned back in the dark, smiling softly to myself. "You're going to beg," I whispered into the shadows. "And when you do, it won't be pretty." The next morning, I called the company that had offered the contract. "Hello," I said sweetly. "I just wanted to confirm that everything is on track." The voice on the other end hesitated. Yes, but there seems to have been a complication." My lips curved into a smile. "Oh," I asked innocently, "what kind of complication?" "You see, there's been a change in ownership. The property you sold." I didn't finish the sentence. I let him squirm in suspense, just like John would soon squirm under my gaze. This was only the beginning. John didn't see it coming. Not yet. He thought he could stumble through life, whiskey in hand, and nothing would touch him. But I had learned patience in the months I watched him destroy everything we had. I had learned how to use silence, observation, and small annoyances like weapons. That morning, I watched him from the kitchen, pretending to sip coffee while he fumbled with his phone. He was trying to call the company again, but the number wouldn't connect. His face tightened. "What the hell is going on?" he muttered. "Maybe someone made a mistake," I said softly, not looking up. "You know how these things happen." John slammed his phone on the counter. "Sarah, this isn't funny. They promised me, that everything was set. I sold my soul for that contract." I turned to him, smiling sweetly. "You sold everything for that contract, John. Not your soul, everything. You should have been more careful." He froze, realizing I wasn't just angry. I was calm, cold. I had a plan. And for the first time, I saw it, real fear in his eyes. The days that followed were like a chess game. I moved my pieces carefully. I started small, making sure he felt powerless, frustrated, humiliated. Every phone call he made, every attempt to salvage the contract, I had already anticipated. I had already contacted the right people at the company. I made it seem like the problem was his incompetence, his drunken mistakes. One afternoon, I found him in the living room, head in his hands. "Sarah, I don't know what to do. I'm ruined." I sat across from him, calm, sipping tea. "Ruined, or just finally facing reality?" He looked up at me, panic creeping in. "I didn't mean it was supposed to work. I thought I could handle it." "You thought wrong," I said. My words were sharp, precise, like knives. "You thought you could waste everything I sacrificed for us and get away with it." That night, I made my move. I sent an anonymous email to a group of investors connected to John's business. I wasn't cruel, but I planted seeds of doubt, rumors of mismanagement, carelessness, and financial irresponsibility. I made sure it looked like someone concerned for the company's future. The next morning, John came running into the kitchen, eyes wide. "Sarah, what did you do?" I pretended to be shocked. "Do? John, I don't know what you mean." "They're pulling out. The investors, they're gone. The company is," his voice cracked. I watched him collapse onto the couch, the weight of his actions finally sinking in. I didn't speak. I let him sit there, panicked and powerless. Let him taste what it felt like to lose everything because of his own stupidity. "You should have listened," I said finally. "You should have been responsible. You should have respected what I did for us." The anger in his eyes was real now. No more drunken smirks, no more casual laughter. He looked at me like I was a storm he could not survive, and in that moment I realized this was working. Over the next week, I escalated. I removed him from meetings, sent subtle reminders of his failures, and made sure that everywhere he turned, he felt the consequences of his actions. "Sarah, please, I can fix this," he begged one evening, his voice trembling. Just help me. I'll make it right, I promise." I looked at him, smiling softly. "John, it's too late for promises." "You don't understand. I can get it back, I just need." I held up my hand. "No, you wasted everything I trusted you with. You drank it away. And now you're going to understand that actions have consequences." The following morning, I found an envelope slid under the door. Inside was a note from him. "Sarah, I'm sorry. Please, I'll do anything you ask." I laughed softly, almost inaudibly, and held the note close. Begging already, and we've only just begun. I had begun planning the next phase of my revenge, something he could not anticipate, something personal, something that would hit him where it hurt the most. I started researching, making lists, noting weaknesses, habits, people he trusted. Every little detail mattered. Every little flaw became a tool. And as I pieced together my plan, I realized one thing: John had underestimated me. And underestimation is a dangerous thing when someone has nothing to lose. The first hint of the plan came the next weekend. I invited him out for dinner, a simple gesture, or so he thought. "This is a celebration," I said brightly as we sat down at a quiet restaurant. "For us, for the future." He smiled, tired, nervous. "Yeah, okay, for us." But I wasn't celebrating. I was observing, watching every reaction, every twitch of his fingers, every glance at the empty wallet he carried in shame. "You know," I said casually over dessert, "I've been thinking about how much you love your beer. Maybe it's time to cut back." He chuckled nervously. "Yeah, maybe." I let him stew in that discomfort, then leaned closer. "Or maybe it's time you understand what it feels like to have nothing because of your choices." His smile faltered. I could see it, the realization creeping in, slowly, painfully. That night, when we returned home, I left a small stack of bills on the table, each one carefully labeled. Each one represented a consequence of his actions: the money gone, the contract lost, the opportunities wasted. John stared at them, frozen. "Sarah, this I can't." "You can't what?" I asked softly, almost whispering. "Undo what's already done. No, John, you made your choices, now live with them." And as he slumped into the chair, defeated, I felt a thrill of power. Not cruelty, not hatred, just justice, balanced, calm, and oh, so satisfying. I knew this was only the beginning. The unpredictable part of my revenge, the part that would make him beg, break him, and make him realize exactly what he had lost, was still to come. And I couldn't wait. By the time John truly understood what was happening, it was already too late. I could see it in his walk, the way his shoulders slumped when he came home, the way his hands shook when he reached for his phone, hopping for good news that never came. The man who once bragged about contracts and connections now avoided eye contact with everyone, including me. That was when the begging started. "Sarah, please," he said one night, standing in the doorway of the bedroom. "Just tell me what you want, I'll do it, I swear." I didn't answer right away. I brushed my hair slowly in front of the mirror, watching his reflection instead of his face. He looked smaller somehow, less confident, less dangerous. "What I want?" I asked calmly. "John, I wanted a husband who respected sacrifice." He swallowed hard. "I messed up, I know, but people mess up. You don't destroy them for it." I turned and looked straight at him. "No, you destroy yourself. I'm just not cleaning up the mess anymore." The next phase of my revenge wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, strategic, and far more painful. I started by cutting him off completely, financially, emotionally, socially. I changed passwords. I separated accounts. I canceled subscriptions he enjoyed. Even the internet at home suddenly had connection issues whenever he needed it most. "Why isn't the Wi-Fi working?" he snapped one afternoon. "Probably unpaid bills," I said, not even glancing up. His face went pale. "You did." "I didn't do anything," I replied. "I just stopped fixing things for you." That hurt him more than yelling ever could. Then I went further. I reached out to people he respected, former colleagues, business partners, even an old mentor named Mark. I didn't insult John. I didn't lie. I simply told the truth in calm, concerned tones. "I'm worried about him," I said. "He's been struggling, drinking too much, making bad choices." The damage was instant. Calls stopped coming in. Invitations dried up. Doors quietly closed. One evening, John stormed into the kitchen, his face red. "What did you tell them?" I raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "Everyone. Mark won't return my calls. The guys won't even meet me for coffee." I shrugged. Maybe they finally see what I've been seeing. He slammed his fist on the table. "You're ruining my life." I leaned closer, my voice steady. "No, John, I'm letting the truth speak." The funniest part, he still tried to drink. But now he couldn't afford it. I found empty bottles hidden in strange places, behind the toilet, inside his old backpack, under the sink. Each one felt like proof that he hadn't learned a thing. One night, I placed all the bottles on the dining table. Every single one. He froze when he saw them. "What is this?" He whispered. "This," I said calmly, "is what you traded my property for." His knees buckled, and he sat down heavily. "I don't have a problem," he said weakly. I laughed, not loud, not cruel, just enough to let him know I wasn't fooled. "You don't have a problem," I said. "John, you are the problem." That night he cried. Not the dramatic kind of crying, the quiet, broken kind. His shoulders shook as he whispered apologies into the dark. "I'll change," he said. "I'll quit drinking, I'll do anything." I said nothing, because my next move didn't need words. The following week, I made a decision that shocked everyone, including myself. I moved out. No warning, no argument. I packed a single suitcase and left him standing in the doorway, confused and terrified. "You can't leave me," he said. "Not now." "Now is exactly when I should," I replied. I stayed with a friend named Lisa. She didn't ask many questions. She just hugged me and said, "You look lighter." And she was right. For the first time in years, I slept peacefully. Meanwhile, John unraveled. He called, he texted, he begged. "Please come back. I can't do this without you. I'll die if you leave." I didn't respond. Then came the voicemail that made me smile. "Sarah, I'm at the bar. I know I shouldn't be, but I need you, please." I deleted it. A few days later, I received a message from an unknown number. It was Mark. "Sarah, I didn't know how bad it was. John came by drunk, asking for help. I told him he needs to face consequences." I thanked him and put my phone down. John had hit rock bottom. Or so he thought. Because the unpredictable part of my revenge, the part that would change everything, was still waiting. I had one final move planned. And it would force John to beg in a way he never imagined. I looked at the document on my laptop, my finger hovering over the send button. Once I sent it, there would be no turning back. I took a deep breath and clicked send. The days after I clicked send were tense. I didn't need to wait long to see the effects. John's carefully constructed world, the one he had tried to keep steady with his arrogance and his whiskey, began to crumble completely. The first sign came in the morning. The phone rang non-stop, emails flooded in, and the messages piled up. John tried to answer, tried to explain, tried to plead, but it was useless. He had underestimated me at every turn, and now the consequences hit like a tidal wave. He stumbled into the apartment, pale, frantic, and shaking. "Sarah, please, I didn't mean." I didn't let him finish. I just stood there, calm, letting him feel the weight of everything he had lost. "You didn't mean it," I said softly. "John, you drank it, you wasted it. You thought nothing would happen, but everything has consequences." His knees buckled, and he sank to the floor. For the first time, the man who had once been so confident, so careless, was completely powerless. "I'll do anything," he whispered. Just tell me, I'll fix it, I swear." I shook my head. "It's too late for fixing, John. Too late for promises, too late for excuses." He looked up at me with pleading eyes, desperation etched into every line of his face. "Please, Sarah, I'll change. I'll quit drinking. I'll work harder. You'll do nothing," I interrupted. "Because this isn't about what you will do. This is about what you lost." I let the silence stretch. I let him sit there, broken, realizing that every opportunity, every trust, every promise he had destroyed was gone. I had given him every chance to make things right, and he had squandered them all. And then, just when he thought it couldn't get worse, I revealed the final part of my plan. I handed him an envelope. Inside were copies of documents, records of every business move, every drunken mistake he had made, carefully organized. I had also included messages I had sent to the investors, carefully drafted to expose his irresponsibility. "This," I said softly, "is what your choices cost you, and now everyone knows." He stared at the envelope as if it had been a bomb, his face drained of color. "No, you would." "I did," I said simply, "because someone has to teach you the difference between love and foolishness." He sank further into the chair, completely silent now, no bravado left. For the first time, I realized he truly understood the depth of what he had done. I felt a strange mix of triumph and relief. I wasn't cruel, I was just precise. Justice had been served, and it was unforgettable. I walked past him, my suitcase in hand. "I need to live my life now, John. You'll need to live with the mess you created." His voice cracked. "Sarah, don't leave me." I stopped, looked back, and smiled faintly. "I'm already gone. The rest is up to you." As I walked out the door, I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. Years of sacrifice, years of being overlooked, dismissed, and betrayed, they had finally led to this moment. And while John would have to pick up the pieces of his own failures, I knew I had taken back control of my life. For the first time in a long time, I was free. And as I stepped into the sunlight, I whispered to myself, "Never again will anyone take my trust, my sacrifice, or my future for granted. Not him, not anyone." The road ahead was unknown, but it was mine, and I would never hand it over again. Thanks for watching. Kindly drop your comment about this story. And please subscribe to this channel and on the notification for more interesting stories.